is for Nevada County Board of Education. And I first of all want to thank our candidates, and that's Al Gebhardt and Tim May, for participating. The League of Women Voters tries to bring you candidate forums at every election, and we are always grateful when the candidates are willing to come and participate in this really important piece of our civic discourse, really. The League of Women Voters is nonpartisan. We are a political organization, but we are nonpartisan. Our forums are meant to educate the public. We asked for questions previous to this forum over the past week and a half, 2 weeks. We got a lot of questions in. Thank you very much to all of the people who sent in questions to us. We reviewed all of those questions. We consolidated when there were crossover, tried to make them very concise. We took out any questions that were targeted specifically to one particular candidate. Like, we don't ask a question of one candidate. The questions need to be for both candidates to be able to answer. So there were a few of those questions that came in too, so you may not hear that question tonight. Let me just say that the League, tonight is our first forum. Next week we will have Nevada Joint Union High School District, NID, and finally on Zoom we are going to have Grass Valley City Council. You will be able to find all the information that you need about how to submit questions for those forums, when those forums are going to happen, how you can participate if you go to our website, which is www.leagueofwomenvotersnevadacounty.org. On there, you're going to see so much information about this election. You'll really be able to find out how to register, how to check your registration, how to change your registration if you've moved. What are all the pros and cons? Where can you find out more information? So forth and so on. So our website is a wealth of information for the voter. So we encourage you to go there. And I also just want to let you know that we, hot off the press, the pros and cons that have been worked on diligently by the State League of Women Voters have been now published. We have them out on the table, and they will be around town too, but they're also electronically available on our website. So lots of good information here. We are also going to be having a forum on the pros and cons. It's not really a forum, it's a pro and con presentation. And again, it's nonpartisan. We have two people who have worked so hard in our community to break these down so that you can understand them because they're very complicated. That's going to be next Tuesday night. You can also view them on Nevada County Media and our website individually, and we will have the whole presentation also available if you go to our website. So the basic message tonight is go to our website. So thank you to everybody who's here. Thank you to those of you who are listening on Facebook or through Nevada County Media. Thank you to Nevada County Media as well for recording this and broadcasting it by stream. There has been one significant change to our forums. We typically have always had a panel of media just behind our moderator here. And they have asked questions in between the community questions. What's developed over the years is that we have received so many community questions, particularly when we went to a send it to us before the forum format brought on by COVID, that we decided that we're going to shift and we're just going to bring you community questions. So the media, I know some media is here right now. We thank them for covering it. We suspect that all the media sources around will cover this. But you will only be hearing from our moderator tonight, and you will be only hearing questions that were submitted to us by the community. So, having said all of that, I want to introduce our moderator. Our moderator is Marcia Birch. She's a League of Women Voters member, and she is a local attorney in town. And I'm going to pass it over to you so you can explain what's going to happen next.
All right. Thank you, Jan. Oh, that seems loud. How is that? Okay. Okay, so as Jan mentioned, we have two candidates tonight running for the Nevada County Board of Education Trustee Area 2. We have Timothy May and Alvin Gebhardt. And I'm going to go ahead and read what this position is, just so everyone is clear on that, because sometimes that's not crystal clear. The Nevada County Board of Education is the elected governing body of the Nevada County Office of Education. Its 5 members serve 4-year terms, are elected by voters in Nevada County, and represent different regions of the county. The primary responsibilities of the Nevada County Board of Education are to work with the Nevada County Superintendent of Schools to establish the direction and priorities for the Nevada County Office of Education through its budgetary determinations and to provide leadership to support the success of school districts in the county. In addition, supervisory oversight is provided for any charter school whose petition was accepted by the County Office of Education. So that was a mouthful. And we'll go ahead, I'm going to just kind of go through the process that we'll follow. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. And Mr. Gebhardt will be first in the opening statements, and then for closing statements, another 2 minutes, and Mr. May will start. Each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to answer the questions. And we have our timer here. She will hold up it's a 30 seconds to go sign. Yeah, there it is. So she'll hold that up for you. And then when you get to the end of that time, when she says time's up, just, kind of finish the sentence. You don't have to stop in the middle of a sentence. But yeah, we just want to keep it rolling. All right. Let me see. Okay, so if everyone could take a moment and silence cell phones. We're also going to ask that you hold any applause or, boos and hisses or anything that you might have until the end. We're going to try to keep this smoothly running without applause or any breaks between the questions. And we should be wrapping up at 7:30. All right, so let's go ahead and start with opening statements. Mr. Gebhardt.
Thank you. Why am I running for the Nevada County Board of Education? Because I read some reports, looked at the schooling and the finances, and felt that with my training and expertise, that I'd be a very good member to help the board and the superintendent going forward in these days and times of financial stress. My professional background is uniquely qualified because it brings a positive change to the county system. I'm a graduate of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. I started a career in financial planning in 1980. I began working with Prudential Insurance Company in 1980 and left them in 1993 to start my own business. In that organization, I taught for 2 years on a traveling salesman, so to speak, 2,200 representatives how to be better in the field to help their client base. I left the Prudential and I started holding what they call educational workshops and financial and retirement planning classes to Fortune 500 companies. I did this for 9 years. I coordinated teams of legal and accounting experts for the workshop participants. My wife and I started our own firm, Gebhardt & Associates, an investment advisory firm, in 1988. I became a certified financial planner in 2005. I know about offering financial guidance to public corporations as I was elected to the Fallbrook Public Utility District, which is a water district in Southern California, 3 times. I was held at the office of chair of the Finance Committee. I urged the board to begin, after I got involved in it for the first 4 years, to begin looking at the finances of the company as a water company has to pay bills. We did a 10-year financial plan. We hired appropriate personnel, did the overhaul, put the plan in place, locked in our rates for 10 years for the ratepayers. As a result of that work, Society of Municipal Financial Officers presented FPUD with awards for operating budgets for fiscal years 2019 through 2022. Also, the Government Finance Office of America and Canada did the same thing. As the president of the board, we sold assets off at times. I sold a 1,400-acre park, created with a nonprofit organization, and we have a forever park and recreation area on the Santa Margarita River for our community to enjoy. How our schools can improve. I looked at the finances. I studied the report in 2022. I've looked at the different things that go on within the budgeting process. I think I can be of great assistance to the board in working with the other members and the superintendent to bring this thing better forward. I've noticed that in the reports that The STRS and PERS public pension funding is at risk. We're not funding as much, we're having to pay more each year. It's because it's underfunded. It's only at 72% funded ratio. The PERS is a little bit less. How can I improve? I noticed the literacy schools, the scores that come out, the annual test that tests the kids, how well they did. I noticed they're not doing as well as they could be. I wanted them to do better. I've been teaching long enough and doing these kinds of things that I learned that in the lessons are learned when you do three things. That is listening, raising your hand and getting involved, and actually a physical activity with it. You increase your learning percentage by 90%. That's why I'm a big fan also of the CTE program down in Bear River.
All right. Thank you. Mr. May.
Thank you. Better get used to this. I'm an educator. And that's all I've been in my professional life. It's all I've wanted to be. So is this microphone pretty live?
Yeah, it sounds fine.
It sounds okay?
I felt the same way when I started.
Okay. I had meant to, first of all, thank the League for sponsoring this. This is so nice that we have a live forum once again. The last time in 2020, when I ran for the board, we did it by Zoom. This is so much nicer. I was saying I'm an educator, and it's all I ever have been. It's all I've ever wanted to be. I started in the early 70s as a high school teacher. I taught for 5 years. I taught community college for almost 40 years. I started teaching high school when I was 10 years old, in case you're starting to think that I'm too old. Board service is my way of giving back. My children are educated in Nevada County, and I'm grateful for that. And for the last 4 years, it's been quite a privilege. With all my educational experience, I never imagined I'd be a school board member, and I never, secondly, imagined I would enjoy it as much as I do. And the reason, I think, is because we have such a superb county educational staff. Scott Lay as superintendent, and the 3 associate superintendents do a superb job. Our finances are in superb shape. No need for help there. Well, I can talk to you some more about that. The kids are doing okay. In fact, we're pretty satisfied with the way that county students have come back after the pandemic and are continuing to come back. I also wanted to say that I just appreciate your vote. I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now I will move to the questions. Al, we'll start with you. And this will be a question for both of you, and you'll each have 1.5 minutes to respond. What are your 2 top priorities that you would like to accomplish during your time in office? Why are these important, and how will you go about achieving them? No, Al will go first.
Mr. Gebhardt,
Yes.
could you move the microphone just a little bit closer to your mouth so that the shooter can pick it up a little bit better? Thank you.
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
So as the question, as I understand it, is what are the 2 top priorities and how will you accomplish it?
Yes.
Well, I've studied the scores of the California state testing system, what we do in these schools, the 8 schools that the traditional school and 8 other schools that they have in the system. And they're not passing, most of those kids are not passing the test scores. They're getting very close, but they're not. When they come out of the school system, they don't have the ability necessary to read, write, communicate, do math scores. As a business owner for over 40 years, I've been the recipient of kids like this. I want to see that change. That's why I'm here. I'm 71 years old, we're retired. I want to see that change. I want to get some additional funding and help to help kids In schools that I've been familiar with, my stepmother was a school teacher up in Chico in the Bay Area. My sister-in-law is a school teacher over in the coast. So all I can tell you is that they brought in interns, older teachers to help the younger teachers learn. We actually, as I said earlier, by teaching with multiple things, I can do that. My second thing is the finances. I've looked at them very extensively. We owe lots of money to lots of people. We're lowering our revenue stream is declining. Our ADA fund is declining. Our federal and state government funds are declining. And this is per the budget that I saw. So I looked at this information and felt that I need to get this involved and I need to get it fixed. Those are my two priorities.
Thank you. Mr. May, the same question?
Sure. My two priorities are to continue to work with the superintendent and my fellow board members. We have a very harmonious board, and to work with them to provide services to the 9 school districts and the 7 charter schools and our alternative ed school. Perhaps a personal priority of mine, I've gone around and met all the directors of the charter schools and become familiar with the charter schools, is to get out to the school districts and become more familiar with the superintendents and principals and ask them directly, as I have asked the directors of the charter schools, how can we best serve you? That's the job of the County Office of Education, is to serve all the students of the county, and we do that by serving the school districts and serving the alternative ed school. So getting around more, being a more recognizable face to the actual teachers and administrators is one priority. And I think another priority is to really try to make myself known in the community so that they feel comfortable in relaying their concerns that I can relate to the board to represent my area, which is Grass Valley and Penn Valley.
Thank you. I'm going to alternate the first one to answer, so I'll start with the next question with you, Mr. May.
Sure.
Please address the issue of declining enrollment and what solutions you propose to mitigate the effects of it.
Would you repeat the question?
Please address the issue of declining enrollment and what solutions you propose to mitigate the effects of it.
Well, that's a tough question. What can we do to mitigate declining enrollment? Because there's so many factors for that. In our state right now, we are losing population in the state. We are also, these are not boom times as far as the school population. We have chronic absenteeism. What can we do? There's the county staff, there's about 180 total staff members in the county school system. The superintendent's office, their outreach is extensive in providing educational services, financial services, special ed services, and helping our school districts to help themselves. And I think that one of the questions is, where are those students going? We used to have absenteeism of only around, we had just 3 or 4%, and we're up to 10% countywide. And so where are they? And how can we get them back? And then I think we also have to face the fact that the county is an older community. And it may be that some of the schools are going to have to, in the future, contract a bit. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to boost enrollment magically.
Thank you. Mr. Gebhardt, the same question.
Yes, I've done a little bit of reading on it, and if you go to the Washington Post, published an article 2023, and they did a survey of 6,950 schools across the country, where are the kids going? In our school system, Nevada County, California, and in the state of California, 78% of the children in California are heading to homeschooling. They're in fact going away from the traditional school system and going to homeschooling. Nevada Union High School had a 113% increase in people going to homeschooling away from the traditional school process. The reason being, and I've talked to school teachers in the community, both retired and active, and the reasoning is they're not getting the education they thought they were. So part of what happens is they go to a different venue. Charter schools is a great venue because what they can do is they're picking up the slack and they actually test better than the traditional school. I can look at the 5 different schools in here: Chicago Park, Pleasant Ride, Hill Grass Valley, Clear Creek, 500% of this increase in kids going to homeschool. That's where they're going. How would I change it? Outreach to the parents. Bring that attitude back. That's the only way it's going to happen. They're here. They're in this area. We just have to get to the parents and let them know that we're going to do better. How can we help them get their advice and implement it?
Thank you. Oh, I forgot to describe the rebuttal cards. So each candidate has one rebuttal card, and if they would like to make a rebuttal to something that the other candidate has said, they'll have 2 minutes to... Oh, they have 2 rebuttal cards, and they have 1 minute.
1 minute?
Yes, you do have 1 minute to make a rebuttal.
Homeschooling through our charter system is part of our enrollment in our public school system here. Our charter schools serve homeschool students, and so that's included in the enrollment. I'm hearing an anti-public school bias here that bothers me. Our schools are here in this county. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of the job they're doing. When I hear, well, their test scores are down and they can do better, what test scores are you referring? Are you referring to the LCAP, which is not just math and English and science scores? It's a very complicated metric. It takes into account quite a few different measurements of how our schools are doing. And contrary to what my opponent said, Nevada Union is doing pretty damn well. And so are the other schools. I'm proud of the way that the Nevada City school system has come back from the pandemic and is continuing to get back to baseline.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll go to the next question, and this one we will start with Mr. Gebhardt. What are the unique needs facing students, families, and school staff in a rural district?
Those needs are pretty difficult. I grew up in a rural district in Carmel Valley, California, rode a bus that went 35 miles one way to school. So we have to have a transportation system, and there's a couple ideas floating around as how to increase that transportation system. We have to be able to get them educational material. There's a lot of external influence today with phones and internet and things like that. I think we have to take some of that stuff away when they walk in the classroom, when we get them to the classroom. We have to also reach out and teach them in a different way, obviously, or not teach to a test, but teach the subject matter as it is so they learn, so they can comprehend what they're learning, they can put it in place, restate it back to the teacher or restate it back to the employer as to what they can do. Some students can't even fill out applications for employment. Some can't read. Some cannot even do mathematics. We have a problem in this area because Social California promotes every child from 3 to 6th grade automatically whether they test well or not. That's a bad source of way of, because now all of a sudden you kept perpetuating the negative testing or the lower educational standard. We can reach out to the rural community and send people out there to help them if necessary. That may be interns, teachers' aides, those kinds of people to assist those families to bring them in. There are financial programs. I'm aware of the lunch program that helps a lot of the kids here.
All right, thank you. Mr. May, the same question.
Could you repeat it?
Yes, I can. What are the unique needs facing students, families, and school staff in a rural district?
What are the what?
What are the unique needs facing the students, families, and staff in a rural district?
Well, we found out during the pandemic that the students out on the ridge didn't have internet service, and we did our best as a county to make sure that they did have it because distance learning was so important. we have a good bus system, and the county is fully supportive of that bus system, and the districts support that themselves. I think that, if anyone has ever tried homeschooling, and that's being touted as an alternative, and then tried to live a normal life at the same time, it is a real challenge. Those kids need to get in, and for social purposes and for educational purposes, for their best, they need to get into the schools. Now, I have taught in the community college classroom for 30 years, so I have plenty of rural students down in Yuba County. And the idea, no, you don't take stuff away from them, the media and everything, is to bring them into the 21st century. Maybe cell phones is one issue, but I'm hearing someone who's never been in a classroom talking over here.
Thank you. Okay, so Mr. May, you'll answer the next question first. Schools have an obligation to provide students with information that offers multiple perspectives about historical events. Are you in support of presenting the multiple perspectives in the history curriculum?
This is a bias against public school history teachers by people that have never been in apparently observed a public school history high school or junior high teacher. Multiple perspectives are always given. In my experience, rarely do you find a professional who is totally biased and not open to many different perspectives. It's the very nature of a person that enters the discipline of history, is that they view it from many different lenses, from many different perspectives. That's another anti-public school bias that we're hearing from the right wing. It's not valid. And I'm not interested in partisan battles. And if on the county school board, we are a harmonious board. We don't get into these anti-science, anti-history, anti-textbook, partisan hot button issues. We just serve the schools.
Thank you. Mr. Gebhardt, the same question. Would you like me to read it again?
Please.
Okay. Schools have an obligation to provide students with information that offers multiple perspectives about historical events. Are you in support of ensuring that the multiple perspectives are presented in the history curriculum?
I'm in support of all history being presented in a perspective as long as it's truthful, honest, and accurate. I agree with Mr. May that some of the bias comes in. But I love history. I grew up taking history, and I had Time Life books of history. I believe that history is important because if we don't know where we've been, we have no way of correcting where we're going in the future. It's important to realize that different cultures have different ideas, different beliefs. We have to respect each of those beliefs. But we must come together as a population, be all in one. Respect, honor, but also don't be disrespectful to those people and listen to what they have to say.
Thank you. Okay, so the next question, Mr. Gebhardt, you will answer first. Retaining good teachers is essential. How do you protect teacher jobs and increase salaries and improve working conditions?
That's a difficult question because of the fact, as I understand, you're asking me, just repeat it because I heard it.
Yes, I will. Retaining good teachers is essential. How do you protect teacher jobs and increase salaries and improve working conditions?
You're right. It is hard to get good teachers. I've spoken to a lot of retirement teachers since I started looking into this new position. I've spoken to teachers that are currently teachers and teaching homeschooling. They want to come back. They need help. They feel that sometimes the administration is not as helpful. They feel sometimes that they need help in the classroom to help the students learn, to communicate individually with them, because that's how they did it. That's how they grew up. How can you raise money? How can you retain them? Better working conditions is one. You'll find that a lot of teachers work not for money, but work for the prestige and the honor of doing a very good job. The Teacher of the Year is a great concept. I don't know about you, I wouldn't be the person I am today without my teachers. I believe that if we give them a good working environment, we give them a reasonable pay, because as a teacher, they have a good pension, they get a COLA when they retire, and it goes for their entire lifetime. My stepmother was a teacher. She retired at about $2,600 a month. When she died at 87, she had $6,000 a month in income. So it's a good pension. It's better than what I had working in my world. So we can do that by showing them the goodness of the job they have and the benefits they have.
Thank you.
I agree. I agree that it's very important that teachers are respected for what they do. They are attracted to the field because they like students, they like young people, they like the classroom, they care about the welfare of students. As far as improving their working conditions and their pay and their health benefits, this is a tough one. It depends on the amount of funds that roll out from the state, and we know that in California it seems to be times of boom and bust. But our schools depend on teachers who are tenured and stable and well-paid and have good health benefits. I think it's very important that our teaching, our collective bargaining process, our California Teachers Associations have a good and solid foundation at every school and represent teachers well in negotiating their salaries and their benefits.
Thank you. All right, the next question, I'll start with you, Mr. May. Is our technology meeting the needs of our 21st century students? How would you like to see technology used in our schools?
Extensively and expertly by well-trained teachers, staff. I'm torn about the idea of their students having to surrender their cell phones, but I'm also, as an experienced teacher, know that that solutions need to be made for cell phone use in the classroom. AI is here, for instance, and it's here to stay, and rather than being alarmed by it, teachers need to be trained in how to use AI and students need to be trained in how to use AI for their own well-being and for the future, for their academic success. I don't think we should be alarmed by technology. Instead, we should embrace it, and we should train our teachers and our staff to use it well, and use it extensively. And that's part of the thing. That's part of what we do at the county.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Gebhardt, the same question. Would you like me to read it again?
Please.
Okay. Is our technology meeting the needs of our 21st century students? How would you like to see technology used in our schools?
I think technology is important in our schools. It's enabled us to reach out to the rural areas sometimes where we can't get them in here by buses and schooling. We have satellite internet service now by Elon Musk, which allows us to get good feeds on our satellite systems, so we can do that. In the classroom, it's important to realize that there's a place for everything. I learned that growing up with my mother and my parents. They said that. Computers are important, but also learning to step away from the computer to research it. AI is important, but I was at the fair this recently, and I talked to a mother who did an AI report for their third grade son. And he did this fancy report. She asked him to dumb it down. I asked a 12-year-old daughter, which way do you learn better? By you doing the research, writing the paper, filling in the blanks, or doing it through AI and then memorizing it and giving it to the teacher. What do you think the girl said? I did it myself, I learned more. So a combination of technology makes sense. Computers, but away from the computers where there's interaction going on, seeing socialism, what I mean talking with each other, helping each other, bouncing ideas off each other, co-understanding each other's points of view. That is going to make the future. It's not going to replace teaching, it's going to help teaching by getting them to learn more information, quicker, faster, perhaps accurate, too. Sometimes the internet isn't as accurate as we like.
Thank you. Mr. May, the same question. Oh, I just did that. Sorry. You look so alarmed. Okay, so the next question, the first response will come from Mr. Gephardt. What do you see as the role of students and student voice in directing the decisions and goals of the districts? Will you seek out conversations with students to better understand their educational experience?
That's like what I'd be willing to turn over my checkbook to my 12-year-old son. The answer to the question is yes. I love listening to young children. I've dealt with children. I run a nonprofit in Southern California. We have 700 kids that come to our park each year. We pay for that education. We bring in ambassadors for the nature trail and we teach them. We want their feedback. We understand, then we can understand their learning cycle. Once I know their learning cycle, then I can adapt the classroom training to teach them better, quicker, faster, and hopefully make them better citizens in our country.
Thank you.
And the question again was, how do you...
I can read it again. What do you see as the role of students and student voice in directing the decisions and goals of the districts? Will you seek out conversations with students to better understand their educational experience?
Well, certainly there's a place for students in district decisions, especially as you get into the secondary schools. They always have a student representative on the board and student councils that are well respected and listened to. And as a classroom, as an experienced teacher, I can tell you that we listen to students and passionately, and that we pay a good deal of attention to in student evaluations of instructors and the suggestions that students make. Student government are given a lot of attention. As far as this idea that students will turn to AI, yes, they will turn to AI for the writing of their papers, but I've never known an experienced classroom teacher that couldn't spot an AI paragraph from a student-written paragraph, just like that. Take them aside and talk to them and say, "Did you write this?" And show them how, rather than to lean on AI in a plagiaristic way, but use it, how to use it as a resource. It's not an issue. I don't think for experienced teachers who are learning, becoming familiar with AI, that it's that much of an issue in the future.
Thank you. Okay, so for the next question, Mr. May, you will answer first. Are Nevada County schools safe for students, teachers, and staff? What improvements would you make in school safety without compromising a supportive learning environment?
Well, we are one of the lucky, there's 58 counties offices in the state, and we have a safety coordinator, Chris Espinoza, and she gives us regular reports about campus safety, intruder alerts, fire plans. Superintendent keeps us well informed. Our campus is safe. I like to think so. We work with law enforcement very carefully, the county office does, to make sure that that's exactly the case. We're no different than school districts throughout the country, throughout the world. We're concerned about safety, but here in this county, I think that we've done quite a bit to ensure that our campuses are safe, our students are safe, our teachers are safe. And I'm confident that the superintendent and his staff are doing everything they can possibly do to keep our campuses safe.
Thank you. Mr. Gephardt, the same question.
That's a difficult question because we want to keep the doors of freedom open for people to come and go on campus, but we also want to protect those out that might hurt us. I think the one thing I would do more than anything else that I see in traveling up and down the state in our business when we go to different places is I might get more involvement into the student body. I might have teachers spend more time into the student body, listening to what they're talking about, how they're talking about it, bringing those ideas or those complaints, and maybe taking care of it before it becomes a problem. Talking to parents. I don't know how many times the school district talks to parents or get them in parent-teacher conferences or send them letters, but getting them involved in the process as well. You can't fence out trouble, but what you can do is get people involved so you hold trouble out. And unless you get that communication factor going, you're always going to have the opportunity for trouble.
Thank you. Mr. Gephardt, you'll answer this question first. What mental health resources and services do you support for students, the need for which has increased?
I believe in today's times with the stressful time that we're in, I never would have thought at my age we'd be in the same situation I saw when it was in the 60s. Wars in the world, certain civil disorders, those kinds of things. I think any mental service that will get a student, a teacher, a parent talking down, settle them down, find out what the problem is, it should be available to our students. It should be a priority, because if we can help them right now when they're young, they will become productive individuals later and realize if they have a child that has the same thing, I can duplicate that.
Thank you. Mr. May, the same question.
Our associate superintendent for special education, Eli Gallup, was fortunate enough to get a grant in which we improved our emotional and our social interventions with students throughout the county, and we're hoping to be able to continue that grant. And it's very important that the special ed teachers, and we have one of the best special ed programs of the counties anywhere in the state. Our special ed department employs hundreds of classified and certificated employees, and part of that job is helping them with emotional and social issues as well as their individual educational programs and severely disabled issues. And as far as this idea of teachers need to spend more time talking with students and talking to parents, I'm all for that. Give teachers another 40 hours a week. They already spend 60 hours a week talking to teachers and parents. I don't know how they could spend any more time without ever going home to their families.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the next question, Mr. May, we'll start with you. What are your views on the recent national trend in some schools to ban books? How would you address parents or other groups who wish to ban books addressing topics such as race, gender, or history?
Well, I can give my views on this, but I do want to stress that as a county board member, we do not discuss these hot-button national issues. It just doesn't come up. That's not part of our job. But as an educator in the community, it's absurd. Okay, the Moms for Liberty and what's going on in Florida, it's utterly absurd, and the Moms for Liberty candidates have been defeated left and right. The very nature of a liberal education, an open and liberal education, is that they have access to books, and we certainly We certainly don't want to live in a Nazi community that bans books. That's my personal view, but I don't think the purpose of tonight.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Gebhardt, same question.
Restate it, please.
Yes, I will. What are your views on the recent national trend in some schools to ban books? How would you address parents or other groups who wish to ban books addressing topics such as race, gender, or history?
I think books are one of the most prized possessions a family can have, a student can have, and I can have. I have hundreds of books, thousands of books over the years. They all contain something valuable. How it was written, why it was written, I think interpreted by the student is important. I'm not a fan of banning books from a library, banning from a school, as long as they meet the school standards, the school presentation, the material that should be presented. If it's obscene in some ways or implies certain conditions, it shouldn't be in the school system, in my opinion. But books are important. All types of books are important. If we don't have them, we won't know what was going on yesterday. But it'll give us a chance to figure out what to do tomorrow.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Gebhardt, you'll answer the next question first. A major problem for the Nevada County Board of Education is declining revenue, increasing expenses, and tightening budgets. What are your budget priorities? When budgets need to be cut, how and why will you determine where those cuts will occur?
I have to say I've looked at the budget, and I have a lot of questions within it. I'd question what personnel do we have? Are we having facilities that we're paying for that are storing items in it that we don't need? Could we sell it, get rid of it, bring revenue in? You're correct in the revenue stream declining in multiple sources. The way to do that, to offset revenue, is to figure out. What we did is we sold excess property at the water district. What we did is we rented excess property out to organizations to get a monthly income. We applied for grants, and we got those grants. There's lots of money available if you know where to look in the systems. But the problem today is the school system, just like the recent prop for arts and education that just came out. It's additional money for spending in the school, and I read it even this afternoon. I did not find out you could use it for teacher pension funding. You can use it for COVID. It has more than the uses they're talking about. I did see that they wrote a grant for it for $28,400. There are revenue sources we have to look for. And that's how I would do it. Start looking at what we can cut, what we can save on, and then begin to look at where are the sources we can find within our system.
Thank you. Mr. May, same question.
Our associate supervisor for business services, Darlene Waddle, manages an $11 million budget. The majority of that money goes for services to the county students. The county budget is in the black. It's been in the black for the last 10 years. A requirement of county school operations is that they keep a 5% reserve. Our county is sitting on a 54% reserve thanks to the stewardship of Darlene and that office. At the same time, the expenditures have been for educational workshops and plans for the various school districts, the 9 school districts and the charter schools, to bring their LCAP scores up. Do I have 30 more seconds? Let's bring their LCAPs up, and to special ed for the 15% countywide students who have been identified as special ed. That's where the money's going.
Thank you. So, Mr. May, the next question, I'll start with you. Students and parents have expressed a need for anti-racist and supportive environments for those who identify as members of the LGBTQ+ community. Do you agree this is necessary? And if so, how would you engage students in meaningful participation to shape district and campus policies to make schools safer for everyone?
Well, again, as an educator, I can give my point of view. As a county board member, this is out of our purview. The districts are dealing with LGBTQ issues as they should, and every student should feel safe, absolutely. But I think that tonight, the purpose of this forum is to clarify what county school board members do and how we can best serve the school districts. And I could sit up here and talk about the world according to Tim. I absolutely believe in LGBTQ rights, and I don't believe in book banning, and we can talk about that. But again, as a county board member, our job, and we're in concert on this, and we work in a nonpartisan fashion, is to provide service to the school districts, and we're doing a good job of it. And I'm very, very pleased with our educational and our financial services and our special ed services, with the safety programs. But yes, I absolutely believe every student should feel safe.
Thank you. Mr. Gebhardt, the same question.
That's a very difficult question because it concerns about 9.4% of the California population, but it's affecting all of us. But it's fair that everyone has a right to be who they are, what they are, when they want to be what they are. We should respect that right, and we should teach our children to be that right. If we teach it to our children when they're young, then what will happen is they will show that respect when they get older to other people. I grew up saying yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. I still do it at age 71 to people younger than I am. If we listen and talk to each other, we may learn more than our differences are that are shown. I'm not a fan of LBGT, I will tell you that. It's new. I think it's important, but I think everybody should be respected no matter what it is.
Thank you. Mr. Gebhardt, I'll start with you for the next question. If elected, what do you see as your learning curve? How will you foster a spirit of collaboration between your colleagues?
Having experience of joining a board before and coming to this one would be a large learning curve at first. When I'm elected November 5th, I would meet with the superintendent, sit down and discuss with them before we took office, sit with the other members, conversation. I respect their positions, I respect their age, and I respect what their talents are. The goal is to sit down and work together. Hopefully, they'll be open to some changes, because that's what I'm bringing to the board, some changes. Hopefully, I'll be listening to them, and I will listen to their changes. And I will. But my goal is to bring this organization up better financially, better educationally, and by doing that, we have to work together as a team. And my learning curve would be about a year to learn the job. Probably thereafter, I would be good at it, as Mr. May is now.
Thank you. Mr. May, the same question.
Well, the last 4 years have been a learning experience. I had not served on a school board before, but I knew students, I knew teachers, administrators, I knew board members, I knew how the school system worked, so my learning curve wasn't steep. And over the last 4 years, I can assure my opponent and others that we take our fiduciary responsibilities quite seriously. I've studied over 50 financial packets presented by the Associate Superintendent for Business Services. And each board meeting, we have very detailed reports on how we're doing financially and serving the school districts in our special ed needs, in our safety and other needs in the county. And so I think I've learned very well how to work with the others. But then again, I'm a lifelong educator. their educators. I learned in the military. I learned the value of teamwork, and it truthfully wasn't a steep curve.
Thank you. So, Mr. May, I'll start with you on the next question. Nevada County schools are broken up into many small districts. Is a unified district a better option for budgetary purposes and efficiency? Why or why not?
Well, I think Nevada County schools are no different than the 58 other counties, which also have many different school districts and many different charter schools. No, I don't think that I propose any radical change in the organization of our school districts and our charter schools. They're functioning well. The entire county school system is a team, and what helps hold that team together is our county superintendent providing services and getting around and networking. And I think there's an extraordinary level of cooperation between the school districts and the charter schools in this county. I'm just not sensing a need for radical change.
Thank you. Mr. Gephardt, the same question. Oh, would you like me to read it again? Okay. Nevada County schools are broken up into many small districts. Is a unified district a better option for budgetary purposes and efficiency? Why or why not?
You're correct, they are good schools. I've been around to about 8 of them. I go to church on one of them. So they are good schools. But we're in a budget issue today. We're going to be in a budget issue going forward. Is unification better to streamline the level of management and salary basis? And could that money be reallocated to a better source? Do we have building maintenance issues in one school that we could offload somewhere else and not have it in our budget? That's a possibility. I think as a trustee, you have to be open to all possibilities. You have to be open to change. You have to be open to economic savings as well as economic growth. And I would believe that if it's needed, it should be reviewed. It was brought to me as a board member. I would bring it to the board and ask the board, should we review it? If we can, let's allocate it and review it.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Gephardt, the next question. Families are increasingly choosing homeschooling as an educational option. Why do you think this is happening? And is it a problem or an advantage, and why?
There's a recent study put out by Stanford, who's been studying homeschooling for over 15 years now. And what they found out recently, homeschooling has improved dramatically. In fact, homeschooling kids do better in college than the kids coming out of the traditional school system or the charter school systems. This is a recent study input. I believe homeschooling is valid if you cannot do anything else. I believe that schooling with kids mixing with each other, talking with each other, sharing ideas, pushing, shoving, just like young puppies, cats, and dogs. They all got to learn to get along. If we don't get them in here, letting them fight and kick and scratch a little bit, how will we expect them to get along in life as whole? I think homeschooling is a valuable tool. I have a neighbor up the street who teaches at a charter school. She has 2 girls. She homeschooled them for high school because she got they were a better choice. What we're seeing in homeschooling, the rise in homeschooling, is parents are voting with their pockets, their feet actually. They're leaving the money at the school, but they're going to do it themselves. I believe it's a need. It satisfies a need. I'd like to bring it back.
Thank you.
Although homeschooling sounds like a wonderful option, if your home environment is an environment that truly promotes learning and a balanced learning program, and that almost necessitates adults taking a full-time approach to teaching their kids at home. It's not realistic. It's just not realistic. The ones that are homeschooling and then meet with the charter schools and have some sort of a hybrid model and have some classroom work and some homeschool work are much better off. part of the question was, why do you suppose so many students are being homeschooled? There's a variety of reasons that parents do it. Many times it's ideological, and they have philosophical differences with schools and school districts, and so they decide to educate their kids at home. But boy, have they taken on a tough job. I had great homeschool students over the years, but I had many who were socially and educationally deprived of what our schools can provide.
Thank you. All right, Mr. May, the next question is, what is your understanding of the board's role in regard to bullying?
Well, the county board does not have a direct role in regard to bullying. Our job is to advise and consent the superintendent who works with the various school districts. Now, the various school districts, the 9 school districts and the charter schools, as far as what they decide to do about bullying, generally they have a very clear policies about intervention and consequences for bullying, and I think that the school districts are doing a reasonably good job of addressing this problem. Certainly, it's not the job of the county school boards to be dictating policy to the local schools districts on any issue, including bullying.
Thank you. Mr. Gephardt, the same question.
As I read, the County Board of Education for Nevada is an advisory board for these schools. They also control some of the funding and policies. There's no reason why the board couldn't sit with these superintendents and help them to understand what bullying is. We listen to what they're saying. Maybe help them with a policy procedure. Maybe the knowledge on that board that has all those school teachers on it could pass some knowledge on to some of these lesser school teachers who don't have as much. Bullying is not an accepted standard. Whether it's verbal or physical, it's not an accepted standard in my book. But I don't think not doing something about it is the answer either. I think we have to be a participant in the problem-solving process to make it fair and equitable to all members. If we don't, then you may get, Mr. May has pointed out the different schools, you may get 15 different policies.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Gephardt, the next question. What specific actions or policies do you support or oppose regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion in education?
I missed what the inclusion item was.
I'll read it again. What specific actions or policies do you support or oppose regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion in education?
As we have found out, the DEI program, recently ruled by the U.S. Supreme Court, took it away from any kind of action for admission to schools. It also took it away for any federal funding. So having DEI in the school system today that may be receiving federal funding is not possible. I don't know about diversity. I don't know about those things. I know that the private industry, which is what I've been in, is now walking away from it because it's been used as a lever against them. They're afraid of lawsuits. Growing up, as you can see, I didn't have anything but what I am. But yet I had to work with people who are of different color, different races, different ages, different sexes. And it all worked out because we got along. Trying to teach somebody something about it or make decisions because of a certain race or sex should not be done. It should be based on qualifications only. Businesses walking away from that program.
Thank you. Mr. May, the same question.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, I can. What specific actions or policies do you support or oppose regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion in education?
I support diversity, inclusion, equity in education. I support the efforts of our local school districts to accomplish just that. But I do want to clear up a misconception that I'm hearing more and more from Mr. Gephardt, and it's this, that we need to do something about bullying, or we need to do something about these textbooks, or we need to do something about this, and we need to do something about that. That is not the role of a county board member. Our job, and when you can say, well, you can't just not do anything, in 2020, the Orange County's school district, the Orange County Board decided to overrule their local school districts and order them back into the classroom, contrary to the health mandates that had been ordered by the governor and ordered by the local school districts. The Supreme Court took 2 days to tell that Orange County Board that they have no authority over the local school districts. And so when you say, well, you got to do something, that's a misconception of what the county board does and what county board members do. It's not a business. It is a county board that advises and consents to the superintendent's overseeing of the county school districts and charter schools. I think somebody's got a real steep learning curve if you were to be elected.
Thank you. All right, Mr. May, the next question is, what role, if any, should our schools play in supporting social, emotional learning for our students?
What role, again?
What role, if any, should our schools play in supporting social, emotional learning for our students?
Schools naturally promote social and emotional learning. It comes with the territory. It comes with intellectual growth. You can promote social and emotional needs of students that need intervention through special education, and through experienced classroom teachers to simply work with students. And seasoned teachers address the emotions and the social needs of the students in managing classrooms and in going about their daily classroom instruction. If you're talking about social and emotional interventions for students who need extra help, I'm all for it. Okay, I'm all for it. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Gephardt, the same question. What role, if any, should our schools play in supporting social, emotional learning for our students?
That's a difficult question because of the fact you're dealing with a young body that's changing, the mind that's expanding, material around them. I think trying to show them a positive learning environment, welcoming new ideas, talking to them, engaging with them, will help them learn to be better in their program. I don't know that schools can answer that question. That is really a question with parenting, perhaps if they go to a church. All we can do as a school is bring them, teach them to be good citizens as best we can, tell them of the history, the present, and maybe the future, and let them know that learning is a process that has emotional stops in it. Just make sure you're open about it and careful with it and share it with as many people as you can.
Thank you. All right, the next question, Mr. Gephardt, is the first to answer. The potential for gun violence in schools is a reality across our country. Please tell us your thoughts about this and any ideas you have to mitigate this threat in Nevada County.
Gun violence is a major problem, no doubt about it. But remember, guns don't shoot themselves, people have it. Nevada County is a gun. The sheriff issues CCW permits for the protection of the citizens in the county. I believe in the laws that have recently been passed that guns should be locked up in houses. I like the idea that they're holding parents accountable in other states when guns go off. I think talking to children about guns is important to realize that it's not a video game, it's a real-life element that come into play. We have to tell our children that violence is not the answer. Communication is the answer. Not grabbing a gun and going to school and getting angry with somebody and shooting them. I don't like gun violence. I'm certainly opposed to anything that would take away the civil rights, but I also believe in holding the parties accountable that caused it. If it's the parents, the grandparents, the uncle, the niece, the brother, we hold them responsible as well, and hopefully and pray nothing happens.
Thank you. Mr. May.
I suppose I would respond by saying that I'm not at all opposed to the most recent trend of holding parents legally responsible if their child has a gun and engages in violence. I do believe parents do have a legal responsibility for making sure that their homes are gun-free. And I'm very pleased with the Nevada County Superintendent's Office in their safety office and their cooperation with law enforcement and their cooperation with the school districts and the charter schools and ensuring that we have safe campuses. I think we're doing everything we possibly can in this county to ensure the safety of our students.
Thank you. All right, Mr. May, the next question is, how will you ensure that students with disabilities will receive adequate resources and support throughout their education?
Again, could you repeat the question?
Yes. How will you ensure that students with disabilities will receive adequate resources and support throughout their education?
By supporting our, as a county board member, by continuing to support our special ed program, which I said is second to none in the 58 counties in this state. Eli Gallup and his many different classified and certificated special ed instructors and special ed providers make sure that every student who has a disability is given an appropriate public school instruction. Is that a? No, okay. I thought it was cut off. Eli's a special ed program in the county treats the most severely disabled at our facility, at the county facility, and his instructors help students from infancy on, in some cases, infancy through 8th grade. And then he works with the special ed instructors out in the counties to make sure that they're ensuring that every single student has an IEP, individual education plan, who needs it.
Thank you. Mr. Gephardt, the same question.
I understand it.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
This is a soft spot in my heart. My mother was director of Monterey County for, at that time, retarded children, they now call it the handicapped children, for 35 years. I was trustee of handicapped child until her death about 5 years ago. She was 83 years old. I grew up in that kind of environment. They are special people, they're happy people, they deserve every opportunity they can to become better citizens. I learned through my mother and watching her actions that she started schools, 6 homes, so that children can come there and learn in a good environment, actually become productive citizens in the ways that they ever needed. If children need something to read better, something to hear better, something to understand better through repetitive processes, I think our school system deserves to give it to them. Because those are the people of the future that we want to take care of as well. I think handicapped children or individual training in those areas or disabled children, they need care from us who don't have those abilities and extra care.
Thank you. So I've been scanning the questions, and you've really answered the questions that we received from the public for the most part. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the questions, and we'll go to your closing statements. And Mr. May, you'll start with the closing statement, and that'll be 2 minutes.
Well, as I said at the beginning, I'm a lifelong educator, and it's been the privilege of my entire career to serve on the county school board and to see a fine-tuned team that's helping the students in this county. I've also said in my opening statement that my children were educated here in Nevada County, and that school board work is my way of paying back those school districts here in the county, those teachers, the county itself, for the gratitude I feel. And I just feel as if I have more to give, and I feel as if I do understand how schools work and how school boards work, how the county interacts with our local boards and our local superintendents, and I think I have a lot to contribute and intend to do just that the next 4 years if I am fortunate enough to have your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gebhardt.
Yes, this has been a great evening. I want to thank all the questions. Contrary to what Mr. May think, I'm very proud of the board. I've read a lot of things about them. I really like this carousel framework to help the people that go into charter schools from emotional learning, brings them back in space. That's a nice program that the board put into play. I believe that after getting on board, working with the board, that I can bring some future economic benefits to the board that maybe is not on that board by special training. Doesn't mean they don't have it. It means they're not trained in it. That would be me, like teaching English in one of his classes. I would be terrible at it. But I can tell you this, by working as a trustee, I'd be proud to serve the people of Nevada County, to help bring the schools back up into their graduation levels that I think are appropriate, to help our educational system financially grow instead of decline, change the ADA thing. There's a bill that was in the legislature today that was going to change it from ADA compensation to enrollment compensation. That may be the savior of the school systems today going forward. Keeping your eyes and ears open as to what's happening in Sacramento is an important step as a board member so that we can bring things to this community that might be very economically beneficial to it. I'm proud to try to do this for this board and for this community, and I thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. So, and thank everyone. I'm here. It's nice to see some faces in the room. I know that most of the people who are going to view this probably will do so online sometime later. But it's great to have the energy of having folks in the room. So thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
And thank you to our candidates, and have a good evening.